They're making their way out.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, they've got a big job to do tonight. There's a lot of them here to get the job done. She's got full faith in them, no pun intended. It's been
vicious challenges we've ever seen in track and field. The goosebumps still with you, Dilsey?
Goosebumps are here. I'm a little nervous.
And we talk.
Track and field fans, we are moments away from breaking 4. This is Let'sRun.com founder Robert Johnson, noted breaking 4 skeptic Robert Johnson. We're going to watch this one live. It's on in the background. This is kind of like the Manning cast for Monday Night Football. Then we're going to react to it with a special edition of our Friday 15 on Thursday. Normally the Friday 15 is a bonus podcast for Supporters Club members, those who support independent journalism. Join the Supporters Club today. Let'sRun.com/subscribe. On the other side of the screen, you see Weldon Johnson as well as his 5-year-old daughter, Cece. I'm sure she's excited to see history. I actually have told a couple family members, despite this, I got to give credit tonight where credit's due. Nike got me to tune in. I texted a couple females close to me. They're watching, at least one of them. One of them said to me, "Are you really rooting against her?" And I said, "Well, I told Jonathan Gault, I'm like, I haven't made up my mind." He's like, "What do you mean? You told me an hour ago you didn't want it to happen." Look, I've said I don't think it's going to happen. And back in April, when she couldn't run even 1,000 meters at the same pace. When you think of it as a former college, 4 flat aren't even in the same realm of possibilities. At Cornell University, if you're a 407, you probably weren't making the conference meet. At 4 flat, you were probably winning the conference meet or damn close to winning it. So we shall see, though. Must admit, I got a little bit nervous last night when I saw there's 11 pacers. I was like, okay, if she does do it, how are we getting from 407 to 404? What 407 was with a rabbit for halfway. I think a rabbit's worth a second a lap, the standard rabbit. So 2 more seconds for the full way. Plus, she wasn't right on the rabbit's heel, so I'm going to give her 3 seconds for the rabbits the whole way. And then maybe this diamond formation is another 4 seconds. It just seems too much to me, though. So it would have to be all the rabbiting. And that's the thing that sort of bothers me about it is, if it does fail, I think we're going to need to get a downhill mile. We'll call it the Let'sRun.com Classic, and we'll have these women do it. I can get a woman to break 4 minutes in the mile. It's not that hard. You just how far downhill, how much downhill do you want it to be? So we'll do that Weldon this fall, put up like a $10,000 purse, and then forever in history, if it ever does happen in the track, they'll have to say in like Wikipedia, of course, the event was first broken. The barrier was first broken by Elise Cranny at the 2025 Let'sRun.com downhill mile.
Quit talking. What's your clock at right now?
41 seconds. We can't hear you very well. Well, then you don't sound very good.
I just I'm not really trying to be on this.
Oh,
what about
my
now?
volume's down. How do we sound? So I have purchased.
Oh, wait, what are you at? I'm at 16. Tell me when you're at 15.
I'm at 22, 21, 20. I have purchased a stopwatch. You can't trust these broadcasts nowadays to have an actual watch. So I was pleased that Amazon got it here before the race started. Got to make sure which one's which.
What are you at now? 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2.
You're slightly.
1.
Keep on just 1 second, half a second.
So some of the criticisms that I haven't liked about this is people are saying like she doesn't know how to do a time trial. She never trained for a time trial. That's a bunch of nonsense. This woman knows how to run hard. Running hard is intuitive. She's done plenty of world records. We'll see what happens. I thought best case scenario, like they're not going to embarrass her, is what I thought. So I was thinking they go out in like 302. You're hoping for a 57. She runs a 62. She runs 404. If she's right on pace, which then that's going to make me quite nervous. And the last lap will be quite wild. I mean, the reality is if we're not going to have, illegal marks, why don't they just give her a running start? A running start would be worth 2 seconds, right? So anyways, thanks for joining us live. We're seconds away here from the start. Okay. She's in lane 1. Looks like she went out a little. All the rabbits are going out. This is interesting.
When we know nothing about the pacing, which is kind of crazy. Nothing.
What do you mean? They haven't said anything?
I've heard nothing.
They are smart. They got a super tall guy slightly in front of her. What I don't understand, I got to move this damn computer over. I can't see the bottom. Is how do the guys in front know if she's still on it or not?
I mean, if this thing pulls off, it just shows that to me, she's an amazing athlete, but it shows like running in a pack and pacing like this, that's the main innovation, that no one figured this out. It would be a huge testament to Roger Cram, almost more so than Faith Kipyegon, because I already know this is God's greatest 1,500 meter runner ever in the history. So,
right
here we go. I wish we would have a far away shot so you kind of get some concept of splits.
No, they don't even show. What? This is disgraceful. They're saying 60.2. I don't have the broadcast on. What a joke. Like, this is why I brought my watch. I'm like, I can't trust them to give me a split. And they move away from the lap. So you can't even see when she crosses the finish line. Insanity. Just give us the standard view so I can get a 600-meter split here. Has anyone looked at the wind? Is there any flags or anything? So what was the split, Weldon? 60.2?
Yeah, but is that 409, 400, or what was that for?
Boom. Looks like she's 131. This is smart to me. Go out slower than pace. Fool the fans into thinking you're going to pick it up and do it. I think she's going to tie up badly in the last 400. So they have red, blue, and green lights. So I assume the first rabbit's on the red. The second ones are on the blue, and then she's on the yellow, on the green. The women have left the mark. And again, we cannot get the goddamn 800-meter split. Oh, she's 201 high.
Two flat at 800. This is the way, actually, for her probably to run the fastest time. This isn't the way. Well, I guess that's the goal, right? But I'm glad they didn't drag her out at 4 flat pace, which would be
Grant
faster.
Fisher's looking over her shoulder. So I had 201.4 at 809.
The more trouble she'd be.
I had 201.4. I hit a little late early, so it's probably 201.6, 809. So she's a little bit behind pace. But this is the right way to do it to not embarrass herself. She looks like she's in the hurt box. We're 1,000 in, so she would have just missed the world record, 230.68, they're saying. Now, are they stopping that for her? Well, are you listening? Can they say? Joe LeMay says, former. She's pretty far back.
Why are they
the guys are now on the green lights. Yeah, this is what we thought. She's not going to force it. And we're hitting 3/4 of a lap. 257, 258. They keep showing the goddamn bell, and they won't let us get the split so we can see how far off she is. 303, basically, probably at 1,200. This isn't happening.
301.84, they said at the bell.
What? What'd they say?
301.84 at the bell.
No way. It was 303 at the bell. Nike marketing here. The PR stunt has imploded. I'm thinking of 405 at best now.
Paul Swangard said she was way ahead of the lights. Like, this is misdirection.
I wish I had just watched it and come on live so I could see them.
Can we get a 1400? Okay, 332. She's going to run about what? 405?
Yeah. And this is what's bothering me is, anything a woman can do, a man can do. You see like Grant Fisher, like it's almost condescending. Like, come on, let's go. It's like a varsity runner and a JV runner. She's the greatest runner of all time. Like, why can't we just celebrate her for that?
I can't believe I didn't predict.
Okay, there's 4 flat right there. She did pick it up, maybe. 404, 405.
Wow,
406.
she's not even get the record.
Oh, she did break the record. 406.91.
I can't believe I didn't predict 405. For you guys not watching, listening to the podcast, you'll know the result. 406.91. Let's see how they try to spin this one.
The ultimate vindication for yours truly. Roger Cram, can we get you on the podcast? These experts, They look down upon the common man. They make the Wuhan. No, just kidding. But
no, I think honestly, Robert, I had said last night, my thinking on this is more about academia versus the common person, or Roger Cram versus Robert Johnson. In the sense, the academics came out with this paper saying we're there at the 4-minute mile right now, and I think I said on the podcast that's crazy. But I said, wait, if that's the case, why don't we just put together a bunch of men and have someone try to do this? And essentially, that's what Nike did. They wrapped it in of like, this is groundbreaking, blah, blah, blah. We all bought in and watched it. But this was a one-off thing. But if you think about it objectively, is Faith Kipyegon in better shape than she's ever been before?
No. And is she in 7 seconds better shape? No. If anything, you think she might be
not.
slightly declining. She was the 5,000 meter world champion in what was she? The Olympic champion in 2021, and now she's the silver medalist. The saving grace was she got the world record. Tell you
what was going on.
She did get the world record. Right?
Let's ask my 5-year-old what happened. See what happened there.
Oh, the boys was running in front of the girl.
Okay, and she didn't break the 4 minutes. Did you know that? She got a world record though.
I knew.
Faster than any girl ever.
I have a joke for you, but I'm gonna try to find it.
Okay, she's more interested in her joke book. And parents out there, I saw Faith was running 2 kilometers to and from school at 5. My daughter just turned 5.
Well, it was cool. I got family members into it. I told them about it. They wanted to watch, be inspired. But I'm just like, we've got to get over this concept that women are ever going to be equal to men in sport.
I have a joke for you, Robert.
So, Nike did it with breaking 2. But they had a new shoe. Here, they didn't have the new shoe. And this just vindicates everything I thought. I thought if they had a new shoe, she would have tried it. Then when I heard she used the new shoe in that 1,000-meter race, I'm like, if she can't run 1,000 at the right pace, how is she going to run a mile? And she's not. And then you saw it here. I'm like, the proper way to do it would be to go out in like about 3:02 and then try to hold on so you can fool the audience into thinking you're going for it. Here, I think they went out a little bit more aggressive. What was it? 3:01, Weldon? I didn't hear it. I guess I can look at my splits here. No, 3:02, 72 with a lap to go, roughly. Someone give us the splits. Someone talking in the chat, give us the official splits. But look, she's an amazing athlete. I guess I should give someone some credit for like getting us all to watch. But
can I tell you a joke, Robert?
Wait a
sure.
second,
While we wait for Jonathan Gault, our A-staff writer, to come on to the show.
So, how an astronaut has a party in outer space?
I couldn't hear her.
How does an astronaut have a party in outer space?
How does an astronaut have a party in outer space? I don't know.
On a planet.
On a planet. There you go, folks.
Like
That's your entertainment. We're getting a text from a former top 800-meter runner. He essentially said if they went out aggressively, he thought she really could blow up and die. He's impressed she held on to still get the world record. And that's the thing. Yeah, if we don't think the pacing helped that much, she still broke the world record. I can't really see the comments here because I'm on my phone. I was just doing this. We got to go to the dentist here in a second. But this is This is the most informal Let's Run Supporters Club podcast. Maybe we'll make it official when John joins. And
what do you mean? I'm going to go live. We'll wait for John. We'll start over.
Okay. But anyone in the comments, did the time change afterwards? It's now 4:06 mid. I thought they said 4:06 high when she crossed the line.
It said 4:06.91.
Yeah, they're now down to 4:06. I think 41, 40 something.
This is suspect. Look. Nike, you spent millions on this. This isn't hard. We want a quarter mile. It's actually probably hard. Give us the 400, 800, 1200, and then the 1600, 9 splits. Or do quarter mile, half mile, 3/4 miles, whatever. Or 409, 809, 1209, whatever. Instead, they're putting up some split. We have no idea what it is.
You see how?
I would love to know what the scientists and stuff are saying, though.
It just
because
you want to know why track and field's not popular. they hire a camera guy who moves away from the lap so you can't get your own split when it's happening. All right, now we're joined by Jonathan Gault.
Let's start from scratch. We'll make it like a real podcast for the people. I could actually go promote this on the. I'm going to go in front of my. I can go to my computer for a second. What time is it?
2:15 p.m. Eastern time, Weldon.
What?
Time to go to the dentist.
Okay, I'm going to start. Please get off and take your daughter off. Thank you. Bye, Cece. Welcome, Supporters Club members. Special live edition of the Friday 15. Not only is it special because it's live, it's also on Thursday. In case you missed it, I just did a watch party for 20 minutes. Faith Kipyegon has come nowhere close to 4 minutes in the mile, vindicating the analysis that I wrote in April of this year. I said, she's not breaking 4. It's not going to be particularly close. Let's stop living in la la land. With the help of 9 male pacers, 2 female pacers, she's run 4:06.91. She did, I think, go out a little bit more aggressively. John, we had it on mute. We don't have these splits. And the broadcast was driving me nuts because every time she got near 400, they changed the camera angle or did a close-up so you could not get a split in your watch. But it looked like she went fairly aggressively. Do you have any splits?
I've got the splits, yeah. So first of all, the time was actually 4:06.42. I mean, thank goodness she did not run like
no.
4 flat 0.31 or something, because they said 4 flat. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. My microphone's plugged in. But the finish line time stopped at 4 flat 91. And then about a minute after the race, Paul Swangard comes on and says the official time is it said 4:06.91. And then he says, actually, the official time was 4:06.42. I mean, that would have been a total disaster if she actually did it and they had to adjust it. They rounded the time down by 0.5 of a second. That's an enormous amount. You would never see that at a Diamond League. So that's kind of stunning to me. It is still
John,
the fastest.
John, let's get into this. It shows you that they're not the geniuses that we thought they were. And the people that were going to, you made a good point on this private text message. You said this whole thing kind of reminds me of Grand Slam track. Like there's quote unquote experts who think they know more than diehard track and field fans. And these people told us with the pacing and whatever, she's going to break it. She didn't, and they can't even get the timing right. The worst case scenario would have been actually that they had her breaking 4 and then she goes over 4. But yeah.
Well, I mean, the way they had it was her time got rounded down. Like, what if she crosses the finish line and says 4 flat 0.4, and then it's like, no, actually, she ran 3:59.9, and we just.
Well, that would be better than showing a 3:59.8 and then actually saying she ran 4 flat 0.3.
Right.
Now, give us the splits. What are you hearing the splits were as?
All right, the splits on the screen was shown as 60.2 at 400, 2 flat 0.75 at 800. 301.84 at 1200, and the third lap midway through, that was really the one where you could tell she was hurting because the paces were getting a bit away from her. And then 4:06.42 for the finish line. That's a 409 meters for the final split.
What was 800? 60.2?
60.20, 2 flat 0.75, so that's a 60.55 second lap. Then 301.84, so she slips to a 61.09. And then a bit slower for the final 409 meters. Now, look, I think we need to give her some respect here and say this is still the fastest mile ever run by a woman. I know she's got this army of paces and whatever. Still 4:06.42. That's damn fast. And I give her a lot of credit for going for it. Obviously, by the time you hit the bell, you could kind of tell the record wasn't going to happen. It did look like they didn't actually tell us exactly what the pace splits were going to be in terms of, is she going to be trying to run it as a slight negative split? That's what it looked like because she seemed to be right on the lights, and the lights, world record pace, 3:59.99 pace for a mile is 59.65 per 400. So she was behind that from the get-go. And I'm wondering if they were hoping she would pick it up and kick a little bit at the end. Fastest time ever by a woman, but not close to sub 4.
Okay, a few things. I got about 5 minutes, guys. John, on the final lap, did Swangard say she's so far ahead of the lights? I was really confused about some of the announcing there.
Well, Yes, he did, because he said they were going to stretch out the green lights to basically compare it to the previous world record, which she did end up running faster by than a second and a half. But it was a little confusing, like, because the green lights were also sub 4.
So
Yeah, and interesting. Another thing, big picture here for me. I'm shocked there weren't more people there. I don't know. Like, next time you do this, or maybe there's another one, hold it as part of a Diamond League meet when there's crowds there, because Nike did a good job of hyping this, getting us all interested. I'm just, hey, maybe the joke was like Grand Slam track could get as many people out there for this thing. And maybe obviously the focus wasn't on putting fans out there, and it's trying to show that Nike's committed to women and this sort of stuff. But I was sort of, the crowd surprised me, and I don't know. It is what it is, because I said beforehand, right when the gun went off, if she broke the record, I was not viewing it as a testament to Faith Kipyegon. I was viewing it as a testament to this new drafting strategy. And I think this shows that drafting strategy, well, it's not worth 10 seconds. Faith Kipyegon is somewhere in the realm of like, she's going to be within the realm of 2 seconds of her peak either way, I would say right now, right? I mean, that's a huge range at this level. So she's either a 4:05 miler now or a 4:09 miler, and the draft team made up the difference or didn't make up the difference, whatever. So I think that's how I kind of view this thing right now.
Not sure how those of you watching live, somehow Weldon has YouTube comments popping up in the corner of the screen, which I've never seen before. Anyways, look, big picture wise, I mean, I think Tate McCauley on YouTube has this perfectly. This wasn't for the diehard track fan. It was a marketing campaign made a woman, and it worked. I texted all my female friends, and I was like, hey, a woman's about to try to break a 4-minute mile. And I've got a family member at work. She was like, I'm watching. And they were inspired by it. But I would like to see like some conspiracy people thinking about this and going back and analyzing the splits. Now, Nike conveniently made it hard for you to do that because they would not show it to you when she crossed the finish line at 400, 800, 1200. But I think they knew she wasn't getting this. It appeared to me that she was behind. Well, not a single lap was on pace. I mean, you've got to break 4, and she went 60.2, 2 flat 0.75. So that's 60.2, 60.5, 3:01.8. So she's 61. And then I think at 4-minute pace, the extra 9 meters is about 1.3, 1.4 seconds. So it's 3:03.1, 3:03.2. So then she runs a 63.3. So, I think that's a decent performance for her. I mean, I thought honestly, like when I first heard about it, I'm like, okay, she's got to go like 3:02, 3:03, and then try to hold on and run like a 62 and run like 4:04, 4:05. So this was a little bit worse, but she went out a little bit more aggressively. But, when we were thinking back months ago when they announced this, I thought, how are they not going to embarrass her? And I'm like, well, if she hits 1200 at like 3:02, the average fan's going to think it's still doable. I mean, we knew it was, I could tell it was over just because with the way the paces were like sort of condescendingly looking back at her. Was that on the 3rd lap, John? Or
that was really on the 4th. I mean, also with 200 meters to go, the front group of pacers just stopped running. Like, I think maybe they were under instruction that, hey, if it's clear she's not going to get the world record, if she's not going to get sub 4, just step aside. Because you could see entering the home straight, Grant Fisher is sort of motioning to the other guys, like, let her cross the finish line by herself and have her moment. And she didn't get embarrassed. She still ran the fastest time ever by a woman. So I'm glad that we did this, but I think what it showed is women are still a long, long way away from breaking 4 minutes in the mile, unless it comes out and we hear, oh, she was sick or something like that. But if she was sick, they would have just bagged the attempt. Like, she would have told them, right? So, yeah, I look at it the other way. When this was first announced in April, they said, we're going to try for a sub 4-minute mile. I think we all thought that seems like an enormous leap. The only way this happens is if Nike has something huge up their sleeve that we haven't conceived of. And they didn't. They had a pacing formation. They had a moderately improved shoe, but I would think any gains they got from that shoe, I can't imagine they were anywhere close to what Kipchoge would have gotten in breaking 2 in 2017. And that was about it. They put her in a good track and fast conditions, but she's had those before. So yeah, Nike didn't have this massive innovation like having a 3D printed bra and this, windsuit or whatever. I don't think that seemed to make that much of a difference. So it just never materialized. That big thing, like what could close that 7-second gap, we didn't see it.
But they got a lot of free publicity for it. Well, I guess it wasn't free because they also spent a lot of money flying everybody in. But they got articles in the New York Times, The Guardian, Athletic. Did anyone see on YouTube how many people were watching the live stream? I mean,
I looked for a number. I couldn't see a number. I didn't see the number on YouTube.
They hit it.
Well, there wasn't a number.
Wow. So YouTube will do special things for special people. They won't hide the number for me. Wait, we've got basically record numbers for a normal midweek non-Olympics Worlds podcast. And we've got over 1,000 people listening right now on various social media channels. So let's get into it some more. I mean, I don't know. I felt like a dick kind of being against it, but I'm just like, I'm tired of these people who think they're smarter than me telling me what they know about running. And I guess Kipchoge did break 2 minutes, but eventually, but that was because of shoes. It wasn't because he suddenly got way better at running. And some of the analysis really drove me nuts. They're like, well, she's never trained for a time trial before. She's never run all out. And, that was one of the guys from the High Performance Center that Weldon had on the podcast on Tuesday. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, she runs time trials all the time. She ran a 1,000-meter time trial this year. Most Diamond League meets, particularly for the men, are time trials all the time. Like, she's run several world records. Like, she's used to this. I think she looked a little nervous to me. I mean, obviously this is a bigger deal. Everyone in this team is just there to watch you. You've got 11 pacers. Like, I give her guts for going for it, but I didn't think that like this was going to be some mental thing. Like either way, both talks were insulting to me. Oh, even someone, one of my favorite posters on the message boards, like, but for $1 million, some 407 miler was on there saying, there's no chance I could break 4. And he was saying what would happen if he went out, for 1,200 and 3 flat. And someone responded, Ruxton Towers XC responded by saying, well, what if $1 million was on the line? Maybe you could dig deeper. To me, that's insulting. She's a 31-year-old, 3-time Olympic champion. She knows how to dig deep, and to imply that she doesn't dig deep as much as she can when she's losing to Beatrice Chebet last year is insulting to me. She's not going to dig deeper just because it's some historic banner. People instinctively know how to dig deep. A high school runner trying to break 5 is digging probably just as deep as Faith Kipyegon is trying to break 4. Like people go to the well and they're very good at it. Good runners are. So that was insulting to me. And some of this talk, like I think she's amazing. And I just don't think men and women are the same in running. And, her mindset of whatever a man can do, a woman can do. Yeah, we can be president and whatever. But when it comes to sports and differences in the people, I will never give birth. A woman can give birth. How amazing is that? But let's don't act like we're the same. And I kind of was joking beforehand. I'm like, okay, if she does do it, a woman can do whatever a man can do as long as she's got 11 male pacers to like carry her water for her.
We don't need to make this a big gender discussion. Obviously, men are better than women at sports. So some common sense prevailed today in some sense. We already knew that. No one's disputing that. But beforehand, they're like, oh, we need to change the world record rules so they can have male pacers. Like, that's not what the records are fine, how we do them. I thought some of that was off. People, one more thing I have to jump off. Someone saying here they don't need to hear the Rojo self-congratulatory tour. Yeah, if you just like are joining in late and hearing that, yeah, I agree with that. But great run. I'm curious what Beatrice Chebet could do in this thing if she had been in there.
And I don't think it was a great run.
She went out really hard and still hung on to a 406.
Yeah, it was a good run. Good run. But so I honestly, I
you
thought
could really blow up worse.
Faster.
I was so all over the place betting because I'm like, if the pacing really works, I'm like, men the whole way, unless it's like some crazy pacing thing, I thought that could get her 403, 404 maybe. But then I'm like, well, they're saying it's much more. And then I'm like, well, if she goes out, she's going to die. So I didn't know what to predict. But now we can get back to, hey, people who just tuned in to see this. Let's see Faith Kipyegon at the World Championships of Tokyo at the end of the year. Let's see her doing some races. This woman is so damn good. To somehow the concept that like she had been pushing herself till now, I kind of said was a bit insulting, and maybe that wasn't the attempt, but it was cool they put it on. Nike's the only people who can pull some shit like this off, so kudos to them. But my new thing is I want to see Faith Kipyegon. This is the Let'sRun.com mile. We're gonna bring this out there. You go to the track, the local high school track, as Ray Rawson would say. You can have people there, but no one can tell your time. You pace yourself off 11 steps or something. I don't know, because most people aren't. If there's not a mile there, you start the track, you run. No watch, no nothing. You see what your splits are. When the mile's done, you report back to me. There you go.
Okay. One thing that was interesting, pre-race was sort of, there was a lot of discussion, some great discussion on the message board. I mean, when I saw the pacing and the Alex Hutchinson article on Outside Magazine, I'm not going to lie, I got a little bit nervous. I'm like, okay, with 11 pacers, maybe that could be an extra second lap. A pacer is 1 second a lap, John. I can't remember if I said this when you were on the air or not. So let's give her an extra 2 for the second half of the mile. Another 1 because she wasn't right on the pacer. That's 3 seconds. And then maybe the 11-second diamond, the 11 pacers is another second per lap. So that would be 7 seconds. But then I was just like, I don't think so. And I think we were proven correct. But one thing that was interesting was somebody was saying, like, think about what these women are running in the other events. And, 2:09 in the marathon and 62 minutes in the half. And they're like, someone's like, if a man can run, and I used to think this sort of like 4 flat in the mile, 14 flat in the 5,000, 2:10 in the marathon, were roughly equivalent. So this guy's like, think about what they're running in the marathon. Could she break 4 in the mile? I actually looked and I said, yeah, the problem with your theory though is women get less good as the event gets shorter. And according to the World Athletic Scoring tables, the 2:09.56 in the marathon is equal to a 4:04.41 in the mile for women. It's 1,312 points. For the men, they have a 2:09.56 marathon equal to 3:55.49 in the mile, which seems wild to me. So just men are a little bit better than the shorter events. Like the women's 800 record is nowhere close to the men's 800 record, etc.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, how many Americans ran 3:55 in the mile this year among men, and how many ran 2:09 marathon? I would say there's probably more 3:55 milers, or maybe it's a little closer now. The American marathon is running a bit faster, but on the men's side, yeah, maybe that does make sense. And I think there are a couple comments here. I mean, we've got one pinned from Scott Dance at the bottom saying, without going out so hot, she surely would have gone faster. So you can't say the pacing, shoes, bra are only worth half a second. Yeah, I think it's hard to know exactly. Obviously, we can't quantify exactly how much each factor is worth. And I do think if the goal of this race was, let's have Faith Kipyegon try to run as fast as possible, rather than let's have Faith Kipyegon try to break 4 minutes, she does run. I mean, I'm not even sure she runs 4:04, honestly. Like, she probably runs 4:05, maybe 4:04 high. But her pace halfway, I mean, she hit 800 meters in 2 flat 0.75. Again, that's 4:02.91 mile pace. So it's not as if she was way too fast. I mean, if you want to run a 4:04, I don't think that's an unreasonable. Maybe it's not optimal, but it's not an unreasonable split. But yeah, I'm sure that some of the stuff helped her a little bit, but I still don't think, anyway you slice it, I don't think she's close to 4 flat right now, or any woman's close to 4 flat. The other thing was, at the start of the show, Robert, Diljit Taylor and Keely Hodgkinson, they were both sort of arguing in favor of having male pacers for regular world records. That shouldn't be the reason why these world records aren't validated. Diljit Taylor's quote was, "As we evolve and women evolve in sport, the rules also need to also evolve." And Hodgkinson said the same thing. I think as Faith is breaking barrier tonight, if you're the best woman in your event and you're trying to chase these new things, and there may not be another woman that you can keep up with, that can keep up with you or go ahead, you may need some help from the guys to do it. How do you feel on that? Because I would say they're changing the rules compared to what every other woman in history has had to deal with. Like, the current world records, none of them were set with male paces. So are you okay with sort of changing the rules and just accepting, all right, we're in a new era, these records are going to be faster because of the male paces, or should we just get rid of that requirement?
If we're going to change it, we need to have a new set of world records, and maybe we just wipe them all clean. And I'm talking for men's running. One of the things that bothers me about the sport is, well, first of all, we can't find a man to pace a man for the whole race. So if you're going to do that, you might as well just let pacers hop in and hop out. So to me, if we're going to have world records that are paced, you might as well, it doesn't matter to me if it's a machine. I mean, I guess you could have a wind tunnel of some sort, but you could have a robot doing it, or pacers hop in and out. So I'm kind of with the idea, okay, if we want to just I don't want it to be who has the most money, who can hire 11 pacers versus who can only hire one, and who can only hire a pacer versus 800, and whose shoe sponsor is willing to go for it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fine with it if we're going to just totally blow up the system and say anything goes, hop in, hop out, robot pacers, etc. I'm not fine with it for doing it just for women and then saying men can't have a pacer. Like no women can. They're like, one of the comments I had the thing muted, only listened about 1 minute of it. I heard him say, there's no woman that can run with Faith. Well, there's no man that can run with Jakob either for 1,609 meters. I mean, so if they're trying to wrap up the whole thing. So, I think it's just a different set of records. I've never understood why it's just about who has the most money. So I guess I'm fine for changing it. I personally think maybe the world record, I guess you can't do this though, because it wouldn't work, is what if you just, a world record attempt is redefined as just a time trial. You against the clock by yourself. No one else. No rabbits. You can have a pace clock. That's it.
So then would you be forced to declare a world record attempt before you do it? What if you just run a world record in a Diamond League by accident with paces? That doesn't count anymore?
Well, that's never going to happen in the 5 or the 10. I don't think it would happen. I guess it could happen in the 1,500 because you'd have rabbits. Maybe that's a dumb idea. All right. Scott Dan said, without shoes, she would have gone faster. I was talking to John Kellogg there. For those of you watching live, I was looking down on my phone because I was talking to John Kellogg, coaching expert. And he said that he thought that she did a better job of not blowing up than he thought. He said she was more aggressive than he thought she would be. So, 60.2, 60.5, 61 flat, basically, and then a 63, and then the extra 9 meters. So, he's like, I honestly think if she tried to pace it a little bit slower, he thinks maybe 304 high. So, a second and a half, 7.75 seconds faster. I think that she ended up doing kind of what we thought, in the sense of, I always said, you got to hit 1200 in 302 to 303 to fool the fans. And so you don't totally embarrass yourself. And she did that and, had a good run. So somebody wants to know if I think it's a biological fact that a woman can never break 4. No. Do I think it's a biological fact? Like in a million years or 100? I mean, I don't think we're going to be here in a million years, by the way, but that's kind of depressing. Oh, I don't think any human's going to be here in a million years. But I'm not ruling that out. But in the immediate future, absolutely, I'm ruling it out. It's just like how I said, without the new shoes, we would have never seen a sub 2 hour marathon in my lifetime. So how long did it take, the men to go from 407 to 4 flat? And that was when people didn't know how to train. We know how to train now.
Right. I don't think we're close to it unless we get some sort of massive technological breakthrough, some sort of trampoline track or another super spike innovation where you can get like 100% energy return, which probably isn't even physically possible. Other than that, I don't think we're close. Could it happen? Could the women's world record be 3:59 by the time I die? Like 50, 60 years from now? I'm not ruling that out. I don't think it's like there was some people, and I think these were kind of mostly quacks, honestly, but like back before Bannister was going to run his time, they said, oh, if a man runs under 4 minutes, their heart will explode. And I don't know if anyone actually took these people seriously, but I don't think there's a biological limit on what humanity can do in any event. Because as soon as someone sets a world record, you're going to be like, well, wait, someone can't run 100th of a second faster than that. But yeah, whatever the limit is for women right now, it's not close to 4 flat.
Look, it took 21 years for the men to go from 407 to 359. By the way, the 407 was run at Princeton, New Jersey, my alma mater. So the first 406 was also run at Princeton University. I'm now making a push for Princeton, New Jersey to host the NCAAs. Maybe we should do it in 2033, the 100th anniversary of the mile world record, or 2034. We could actually hold it probably on the same date as the 2034 world record. But Look, that's when people didn't know how to train. They weren't full-time pros. 7 seconds. I would think, barring, drastic shoes or track improvements. Now, Feldspar's talking about in creating a new track, but on the track that she ran on today, I'm thinking you're at least doubling that. So I don't think it's happening in my lifetime. Probably tripling it. And yeah,
but that's
the
okay.
idea,
I mean,
and some of these chats are like wild. Like, it's like, for $10 million, could you do it? No.
right. Part of the reason Nike held this event, I mean, obviously it's a promotional piece for them, and look what we're doing for women's athletics, and we love Faith and all this sort of stuff, and that's fine. But it also, as a fan of sports, I was just curious, like, how close can she come? This was about information for me. Is okay. This is where we're at right now. You give her all the backing of Nike, top scientists, pacing formation, scientific draft experts, all that sort of stuff, and it produces 406. So a bit faster than the existing world record, but it just kind of showed us, all right, this is where we're at, and I think that's fine. Like, kudos to her for lining up and taking a shot at it. She's already done everything there is to do in the sport. Why not try now while you're still in your prime? You don't want to retire and say, oh, let's say the next great female miler 15 years from now has another attempt like this. You wouldn't want to be that person saying, oh, but I wonder what Faith Kipyegon could have done in her prime because she was the GOAT. Now we know.
Yeah, but some aspect of it does bother me because, again, it's getting into who has the most resources, who has the most money, who has the 11 pacers. And I guess we've always had some aspect of that, but it kind of reminds me of the worst aspects of modern society. It's like sort of like winner take all. Like, let's sort of cheat the system. We'll skip a few rules here. Nobody cares. Oh, nobody really cares about these rules. We won't pay our taxes. Nobody really pays them. I'm the president, but I'll take the classified documents home because the other president did it too. And yeah, but we're not going to prosecute either one of them. Like, and Weldon says not to make this about, these generalizations, but it did bother me. I'm kind of a populist. I'm kind of a purist. So anyways, she's an amazing athlete. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, if you come to me and said, I'm a 407 miler, you're going to break 4. It would literally be like going to Jakob and saying, you're going to break 320. He would laugh in your face at that. He would laugh in your face. And anyways.
Well, it happened. Breaking 4. It was breaking 407. That's what she ended up doing. So fastest time ever, 406.42 by a woman. Bunch of paces. Grant Fisher was a wingman. I wonder if they should start calling him wingman from now on, because he was I guess his stride. She liked his stride, is what Paul Swangard was saying. Yeah, they took a shot. She didn't get it. I think it was still worthwhile. Got a lot of track fans interested. I mean, Robert, our viewer numbers right now are much higher than you would get after a typical Diamond League. So clearly this did generate, at least in the track world, a lot of excitement, a lot of interest.
Twice Diamond League. Great.
Come on, this is all people in the running world we're talking about this week. There was no.
I like it. They created a buzz at the end, and
so it's good.
They got me to watch. They got me to buy a goddamn stopwatch. It's a shame they can't get someone to not show. Do we really need the close up of the bell as she came into 3/4? Like that needs to be banned. That could be the ultimate drinking game. Like,
I mean, that's a larger issue on other track and field broadcasts. I kind of do like having them like show the bell. It's like, oh yeah, they ring the bell when there's one lap to go. It's kind of an exciting part of track, but I always want to be able to get the splits, and they popped up splits on the screen. I'm just trusting that they're accurate though, because the finish line time they popped up in the screen was not accurate.
So, I mean, people thought I was crazy when I said I'll pay someone $100 to wheel the track off. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this race with my stopwatch. A hand time is 0.24 off of FAT. And I'm pretty accurate about that. So I'll do that. People are, talking about who's most likely to break 4. I'll think Mo, because she's got the speed. That was one of the things Steve Magnus, 4-1 miler in high school, was saying, sports scientist. He made a big post with Twitter, said she's not going to do it. She's like, she's not fast enough. And I think Steve would know a lot about not breaking 4, right? Because he ran 4-1 in high school. I don't think he ever broke 4. So, see what he says here.
Essentially, he was saying she needs to have speed around 150. Most people, if you're a sub 4 miler on the men's side, you can run around 150 or faster in the 800. And for the women, all right, even if they're a little bit more distance oriented, you would need to be like 153 in the 800, the absolute least. And that's the world record set by, many believe a doped up Czech athlete from the 1980s, Kratochvilova. And, she hasn't officially admitted it or tested positive, but people are very skeptical of that record. And Faith Kipyegon, her PB is 157. Now, I think she can run a lot faster than 157 in the 800. I don't think she can run 153. And that was Magnus's argument, essentially. It's like, look, she's not close. She doesn't have close to the speed to run this fast. But he also admitted, look, maybe the drafting's worth more than I thought.
But he said, and if I'm honest, I hope that the female who inevitably breaks 4 does it in a normal competition. That way there's no debates, caveats, or what ifs. They just get immortalized like Bannister. He now calls it a brilliant effort because she went out in 2:5.7. It basically says what John Kelly does with even pacing. Maybe she runs 2:404, 4:05. I mean, I think if she tried to run 4:05, maybe she could do it. 4:04 is best case scenario. So it's basically what we thought. She ran 4:07 with a rabbit half the way. You add another rabbit for 2 laps, and she goes 2 seconds faster. Best case scenario. And we can throw the Roger Cram studies into the toilet. And, someone, please, from Nike, please tell me why, if it's all about the rabbiting, pacing, and the way and the drafting, why didn't they have rabbits on the inside? Like, to me, if we're going to go all out here, this is the Rojo theory. Do the diamond. If the diamond was what did Kipchoge, why wouldn't you have a diamond here? They can run inside the rail. Nobody cares about the rail. That's number one. The other Rojo manner is you have them break the wind for her, but then when the wind's behind her, those guys run out and let the wind push her. So you have half of the laps are wind aided, half of the laps there's no wind, and she gets a wind push. So I've already improved on their genius $1 million plan with common sense, with no advanced degree in science.
I was curious why they didn't. I mean, I'm sure they considered, like, let's try to run this attempt in lane 4 or something. And that way we can have people on her inside. And for whatever reason, they chose not to do it. The other thing, Robert, I mean, I'm not a fluid dynamics expert. So that is something I think they want to have less turbulence behind her. Because, okay, maybe she gets a boost from whatever tailwind in the stadium exists, but they chose Stade Charlotte, I believe, because they didn't think there was going to be very much wind at all in the stadium. They wanted to minimize the amount of wind. They didn't want to block out some and then harness the positive effects of it when they're on a back straight and it's at her back. I think they just wanted no wind at all. And for that reason, they kept the people at the back of the formation to reduce sort of the turbulence and the drag from that wake. That's how I understand it.
But it still doesn't explain why they didn't run inside the track.
I agree with you on that. And it'll be interesting to see if, Nike makes anyone available to sort of walk through their logic and their thinking on that sort of stuff and everything. All right, Robert, any final thoughts on Breaking 4?
I'm just getting going. I got plenty of time.
You're just getting going? Yeah. You've been talking about what else could you possibly add on this topic, Robert?
I mean, I thought we could talk about other topics too. Our normal Friday 15 podcast. I mean, as Sean Engel wrote in The Guardian, would Nike really this is what everyone thought. I think every diehard track fan thought this is insane. But then we also thought, would Nike really be doing this if Kipyegon didn't have a shot at it? Impossible. So was it a Nike PR stunt or a groundbreaking moment for women? Kipyegon is about to face a moment of truth. I would say it was both. At the last minute, I was texting all the females that are close to me that might be interested to have them watch. And then, last night I was criticizing it. If she had been close, I was debating whether I would start rooting for her to go, 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 like I did with the great Nico Young last week. I started screaming at the screen. All right, if you guys haven't been on the website, this is the video show for letsrun.com, the best source of daily track and field news. Every week we have a free podcast, comes out on Monday or Tuesday. And then every week we have at least one extra bonus podcast, often 2 or 3 for the Supporters Club members. They also get all the access to our exclusive written features by Jonathan Gault, free t-shirt and much more. Join today, letsrun.com/subscribe. In case you haven't have it, John's got a great article up. Why did the USTF get rid of women's relay coach Michelle Freeman after 3 straight 4x100 gold medals? I said I was putting that behind the paywall after 24 hours, John. I left it up yesterday because of Faith. I didn't want people to lose it. Great story. The Supporters Club members, you can read that for as long as you want. If you're listening live, you better click on it free because it's going behind the paywall soon. We already talked about Ostrava. I guess, this was going to be the big Grand Slam track weekend. Since that's not happening in LA, I guess the biggest events are Western States, if you're a trail fan. Kilian Jornet is returning. He won it in 2011, so he's trying to win it again. I assume by now the Backyard Ultra, John, in Australia is over. In case you didn't see, the world record has fallen 118 hours. I'm not sure who won that, but wasn't me. If you're listening live, the viewership on X is going through the roof. YouTube, post in the comments. What do you want us to talk about? Yes, they need to pay you more, Rojo. I agree.
I hope they don't ask us to talk about Western States or Backyard Ultras because I just don't follow that area of the sport. So I don't think I'd have really anything to add on those. Robert, there's the European Team Championships in Madrid, which, from what I can tell, Femke Bol's running, but I haven't really paid much attention to that either, honestly. We were kind of hoping Grand Slam track would be the thing, but there is no Grand Slam track. I was looking at this Breaking 4 as like the big event of the week after Ostrava.
I guess we have the Jamaican trials, though.
Well, that's true. Yeah, the Jamaican trials is crazy. It's crazy that they're having them this early in the season. Like, Worlds are still more than 2 months away. That is odd to me.
Call it what it is. It's mismanagement. There's no reason to do it. It's just bad to select your team this far out, particularly when you have a lot of holding stars who may not be in shape yet. And you have a lot of injury-prone people in Jamaica. So the question I have is, in terms of looking ahead to Worlds, you and I are looking at travel arrangement for the World Championships in September in Tokyo. Faith Kipyegon has been unbeatable at the 1,500-meter distance, but mother time, father time, undefeated. Faith just did run the fastest women's mile ever under any conditions. She ran close to the 1,000-meter world record in her other race this year, but no one else in the world has run faster than the 3:57. But who would you view as her biggest potential threat in the 1,500?
Well, obviously Jessica Hull is one of them because Jessica Hull just ran 3:50 last year. She hasn't been quite as good this season. But I guess who do I think will could anyone dethrone her? I think she's still the heavy favorite for the World Championships. But looking the last couple years, could it be Deribe Welteje? This is a woman who was the silver medalist in 2023. She just missed out on a medal last year at the Olympics, finishing 4th. She beat Faith Kipyegon in 2023 at the Road Mile World Championships. That was Kipyegon's only mile 1,500 defeat of the season. So I think she's younger than Jessica Hull. She's 23 years old, and Jessica Hull at this point, I would guess I have to look it up exactly. Jessica Hull is 28. So I think there's more room for improvement there, but yeah, I would have it one of those two. Maybe. What do you see, Robert? What do you think?
I think it's got to be Welteje. I mean, you know, only fourth. I mean, only fourth. She ran 3:52 at age 22 years of age last year. Think about it. If an American ran 3:52 while in college, we would know what to do with ourselves. She's already got a silver medal, and I don't want to hear about the age cheats. She's got one of the most beautiful, like, young-looking faces I've ever seen. She was great at Grand Slam track Philadelphia, right? I mean, it doesn't even look like she's trying when she's running. And if we're talking about someone breaking 4, that's the thing. 3:52 is still 10 seconds away from it, the equivalent. But, you know, we've made the mistake before on this website. I looked it up when Kipchoge ran 2:01:01. Somebody on this podcast wrote, this record may last for 20 plus years. It didn't even last for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And
he ran, wait a second. No, it lasted longer than that. He ran 2:01:39 in 2018. And I said this record might stand for, 20 years. Other than if Kipchoge himself breaks it. He broke it in 2022. Kelvin Kiptum broke that in 2023. So the record, Kipchoge was the record holder for 5 years. It's not 2 or 3, but he didn't come close to 2 decades. Yeah, I mean, could some of these women eventually surpass Kipyegon? I'm not ready. Like, she's clearly the GOAT right now, and you would need to have someone be dominant for, close to a decade to come close to her accomplishments. Could someone run faster than 3:49 a few years from now? I mean, maybe. And then one other woman who I think could be a contender, Robert, is Nelly Chepchirchir, who she doesn't have the crazy fast personal best in the 1500 yet. It's only 3:56:14, but she's 22 years old, so a year younger than Welteji. She's 3 for 3 in Diamond Leagues this year, 405 to win in Doha, 358 to win in Rabat, 357 to win in Paris. She's part of the Fanuel Koech, Emmanuel Wanyonyi training group under Claudio Berardelli in Kenya. I think if she gets in a fast race, she can probably go quite a bit faster because she's been winning these Diamond Leagues. Is she on the level of Welteji or where Jessica Hull was last year? I'm not sure about that yet, but she's another woman I would watch in the 1500 this year.
Of course, there was. Did we mention? I think you may have mentioned her. Welteji was crushed at World Indoors by almost 5 seconds. I don't see any scenario where Gudov say the World Indoor winner wins it. To me, unless she fires her husband, isn't her husband a coach? Like, she's so inconsistent. She's a good time trialer. She doesn't seem to be able to, I guess she did peak one well at the Worlds, but last year she said she was sick.
No,
so,
I see this scenario. 1, she doesn't try to triple like she did at the Olympics last year. And 2, Faith Kipyegon isn't in the race. Because Sagai has one strategy, which is she goes hard. And if she's the best woman in the field, it can work. We saw it at World Indoors. She destroyed everyone. If there's someone who's close to her, you're just setting yourself up as the Jakob Ingebrigtsen of the women's 15. And Kipyegon will just run her down. So that's how she wins. But I don't think it's going to happen.
So all in the game in the comments has said that Stephen Francis demanded that the trials be held this week. I sort of understand this because Jamaica is not quite as deep as the U.S., but he said they demanded this week, and I was thinking, why? I was like, I assume he wants them to peak now for the trials and then go into like a base phase of coaching and then go back for another peak. And that's what all in the games, right? He wanted his MVP athletes to peak now, then bring them down to peak them for the second time at Worlds. I think it's better just to hit it as close as you can. If you could have the trials the week before Worlds, I would do it. Maybe 2 weeks and just let people just jog for 2 weeks. So
yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, Stephen Francis does things. He likes to do things his own way. He's also had insane success. He's one of the greatest sprint coaches ever. So if he has a rationale behind it, I'm sure he's not just doing.
I think what we're seeing though, and I mean, I guess the internet has made knowledge get out there though, is there's a lot of coaches that like to do certain things, be very demanding, very particular, this and that. I mean, John Keller was one of them too. But there's more than one way to cook a chicken breast. and it ends up still tasting like a chicken breast. So it's like sometimes maybe whatever they're so adamant on isn't the key. It's the access to the athletes. I mean, Grant Fisher was damn good for Jerry Schumacher, who never races him, and he's damn good under Mike Scannell, who races him a little bit more. So, interesting debate to have. But Breaking 4 kind of reminded me of Breaking 2. I remember I was adamant the first Breaking 2 wasn't going to happen. I remember I didn't barely watch it. I turned it on. I'm like, when does he blow up? When does he blow up? And then I couldn't believe that he like didn't totally blow up after like 20 miles. This one I was pretty confident, like halfway in, she wasn't picking it up for some reason. And then I'm like, wait, let's just make sure. And then that happened.
Well, no, I think they're different because the first one, I expected him to just fall off and not even come close, and it really didn't happen. And this one played out exactly how I think all of us thought it would play out a couple months ago. So, yeah, in terms of like changing my opinion of what I thought was possible, this event didn't do that. This kind of lined up with my priors on what I thought it was possible for a woman to do. I thought if they changed the rules and gave her extra paces, she might be able to run a bit faster. She wouldn't come close to the world record. Kipchoge, I thought if they changed the rules, he still wouldn't come anywhere near 2 hours. And he came really close, and then he did break it the second time. So that's the big difference I see between these two. Is the first Breaking 2 really did change the public's mind about what it was possible for a human to accomplish. This one, I don't think did that, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't worth the effort.
Well, you can't.
All right, Robert, any other meets you want to break down? I think we wrap this thing up, and we'll chat back on Tuesday with our regular episode ahead of the Prefontaine Classic next week. The Diamond League resumes.
I'm wondering if they're not letting you rewatch it. Rob Fan in the comments keeps saying she was at 3:32 at 1200. With 200 to go. That's just not possible because she was 3:03 with a 400 to go. So she didn't run a 35 for the last 200 or 34 high.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm going to go back with my stopwatch, try to get the official time. I don't trust these people. But folks, there's a reason why you're Sport Club members. Thank you. The so-called experts with the advanced degrees, they tell you what's going to happen. They tell you, in all walks of life. I can easily make this political, but I'm not going to, John. Don't worry. And then you listen, you turn the show on and you get the hard, cold truth from Mr. Common Sense. Radical common sense, folks. Until next time.